What if everything we've been taught about evil is a deliberate distortion, a carefully constructed illusion designed to suppress powerful, transformative forces within ourselves and the cosmos? Consider how figures like Lucifer, once seen as bringers of light and knowledge, were demonized for challenging the established order, for daring to question the unquestionable. Figures who, to this day, remain shrouded in fear and misunderstanding. But what if these villains hold a key to unlocking our own potential? Set, the Egyptian god of chaos and the desert, stands as a prime example of this distortion, a deity wrongly vilified as the embodiment of destruction and disorder. We have perhaps unknowingly accepted a biased narrative, one that casts Set as the antagonist, the murderer of Osiris, the antithesis of order and harmony. But what if this conventional view is a profound misrepresentation, a deliberate suppression of Set's true nature? What if Set actually represents a vital force for change, innovation, and, ultimately, personal empowerment? The implications of this perspective shift are enormous, touching upon not only our understanding of ancient Egyptian religion, but also our relationship with the seemingly negative aspects of ourselves, the parts we often disown and repress. To truly understand Set, we must begin by dismantling this ingrained bias and exploring his original role in the Egyptian pantheon. Far from being a purely destructive force, Set was initially revered as a protector of Ra, the sun god, bravely defending him against the serpent Apophis in the perilous journey through the underworld each night, a powerful guardian of cosmic order against the forces of primordial chaos. Indeed, key sources, such as the pyramid texts, unequivocally portray Set in a positive light, celebrating his strength, resilience, and vital role in maintaining the balance of the cosmos. But how, then, did this revered protector become the embodiment of evil? The answer, it seems, lies in the shifting sands of religious and political power. As the cult of Osiris rose in prominence, particularly during the Middle Kingdom, Set's image underwent a dramatic transformation, a carefully orchestrated campaign of demonization that continues to influence our perception of him to this day. Acknowledging the common perception of Set as a villain, responsible for the death of Osiris, is crucial, but delving deeper reveals alternative interpretations of this foundational myth. Was Set's act truly one of pure malice, or did it serve a necessary, albeit brutal, purpose in the cycle of death and rebirth? Moreover, consider the esoteric significance of the desert, the arid wasteland forever linked to Set, not as a barren void, but as a place of initiation, transformation, and profound encounter with the unknown. The desert, after all, is where the ego is stripped bare, where illusions are shattered, and where true strength is forged in the crucible of adversity, as seen in the stories of Moses, Jesus, and countless other spiritual seekers. The problem, then, lies in this widespread misunderstanding of Set as a purely destructive force, an incomplete picture that blinds us to his transformative potential. This rejection of Set, this ingrained fear of chaos and change, prevents us from tapping into a powerful source of resilience, creativity, and personal empowerment, the very qualities that allowed Set to defend Ra against the forces of darkness. By rejecting the darker aspects of ourselves, those qualities traditionally associated with Set, we are effectively amputating a vital part of our being, hindering our ability to navigate the inevitable storms of life. But what if we could reclaim this lost potential? Understanding Set not as an external evil, but as an archetype of the shadow self, that disowned and repressed part of our psyche, as elucidated by the great psychoanalyst Carl Jung, offers a powerful key to unlocking this inner potential. Connecting Set with the Jungian concept of shadow work highlights the crucial importance of integrating our shadow to achieve wholeness. Embracing the session energy within oneself, therefore, is not about embracing destruction or indulging in negativity, but about acknowledging, understanding, and ultimately integrating those aspects of ourselves that we fear and reject. By doing so, we can cultivate greater resilience, unleash untapped creativity, and develop the ability to navigate change and chaos with newfound confidence and effectiveness. Therefore, I propose this. Set is not the enemy, but a misunderstood ally, a powerful archetype representing the necessary force of chaos and transformation that is essential for both personal and cosmic evolution. Understanding Set requires a fundamental shift in perspective, a willingness to move beyond simplistic notions of good and evil and embrace the inherent dynamism of the universe, where destruction and creation are two sides of the same coin, where apparent darkness often holds hidden light. This is not about embracing destruction, but about harnessing the power of change, the very engine of growth and evolution. So, in this video, we will embark on a journey to reclaim the true nature of Set, that maligned Egyptian god of the desert. First, we'll delve into the history of Set's changing image, tracing his evolution from revered protector to vilified antagonist. Next, we'll explore the rich esoteric symbolism associated with him, unpacking the hidden meanings behind his attributes and associations. Finally, we'll examine practical ways to integrate the session energy into our own lives, harnessing its transformative power for personal growth and empowerment. Our goal is to provide you with a new, empowering perspective on Set and reveal its connection to profound esoteric principles, to help you see that what we label as evil may, in fact, be a vital force for good. So, fellow seekers, consider this. How might embracing the qualities traditionally associated with Set, such as independence and a willingness to challenge the status quo, positively impact your own life? And with that thought in mind, let's begin to understand one of the most misunderstood gods in human history. The story of Set is not one of simple villainy, but a complex and evolving narrative shaped by political and religious forces. Let us now turn our attention to the historical trajectory of Set's image, a journey that takes us from revered protector to vilified antagonist, and perhaps back again. How did Set go from being a powerful god worshipped throughout Egypt to a figure synonymous with evil and chaos? The answer lies in understanding the ebb and flow of power, the rise and fall of dynasties, and the ever-shifting landscape of religious belief. In the pre-dynastic period, before the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt, Set was a prominent deity, particularly in Upper Egypt, where he was worshipped as a powerful protector. The city of Nubt, now known as Nakada, served as a major center of Set's cult, with the deity revered as a patron god, a testament to his early significance. Moreover, Set played a vital role in the Ogdoad cosmogony, a creation myth originating in Hermopolis, where he represented the primordial forces of chaos and disorder that existed before the creation of the cosmos. Yet, this chaos was not seen as inherently negative. Rather, it was a necessary precursor to order, a vital ingredient in the cosmic recipe. Consider that the Ogdoad consisted of 8 deities, 4 pairs of gods and goddesses, representing the formless, watery, dark, and hidden aspects of existence, the very raw materials from which the world would be fashioned. Even beyond his role in the early cosmos, Set's importance continued. Perhaps most crucially, and as we've already touched on, Set held the crucial role of protector of Ra, the sun god, during his nightly voyage through the treacherous underworld, a battle against the serpent Apophis, the embodiment of chaos and destruction. This nightly struggle was not merely a symbolic event, but a cosmic necessity, ensuring the sun's return each morning and the continuation of life. It was Set's strength, his ferocity, and his unwavering determination that allowed Ra to overcome Apophis, a testament to the vital role of so-called chaotic forces in maintaining cosmic order. As we see here, Set was not merely tolerated, but actively celebrated as a divine warrior, an essential component of the Egyptian pantheon, defending the sun god and all of creation against the forces of annihilation. What then caused this shift in perception? The gradual shift in Set's image began during the Old Kingdom, coinciding with the rise of Osiris worship and the emergence of the myth of Osiris's murder. This myth, which would become a cornerstone of Egyptian religious belief, cast Set as the jealous and violent antagonist, driven by envy to kill his brother Osiris and usurp his throne. While earlier traditions may have presented Set and Osiris as complementary forces, this new narrative portrayed them as diametrically opposed, with Set representing the forces of evil and disorder. This was further compounded during the New Kingdom, particularly under the 26th dynasty, a period marked by political instability and foreign invasions. In an effort to unify Egypt and solidify its identity, Set was increasingly associated with foreign invaders and the forces of chaos that threatened the established order. It is during this time when Set's image takes on the form that modernly has become associated with him. Despite this demonization, it's important to remember that Set was still seen as a legitimate god well into the Roman period, with temples dedicated to his worship and priests serving his cult, a testament to the enduring power of ancient beliefs. And so we see how Set transitioned from revered protector to monstrous villain, a transformation fueled by religious and political agendas. Consider then how easily narratives can be manipulated, how readily fear can be used to demonize the other, and how crucial it is to question the stories we are told, lest we fall prey to the same biases and prejudices that shape the fate of Set. But consider this, is it really that simple? Can we simply dismiss Set as a victim of political maneuvering and religious propaganda, or is there something more profound at play? Let us now turn to the esoteric interpretation of Set, where we discover a far more nuanced and complex figure, one that embodies both creative and destructive forces, a deity whose symbolism resonates with the deepest aspects of the human psyche. Is it possible that Set's demonization was not merely a historical accident, but a deliberate attempt to suppress a powerful and transformative force, one that challenges the established order and empowers the individual? The simplistic view of Set as purely evil is a profound disservice to his multifaceted nature. Chaos, after all, is not merely the absence of order, but a vital force for creation, destruction, and transformation. Without chaos, there can be no change, no innovation, no evolution. The universe itself is a product of chaos, a dynamic interplay of opposing forces that constantly reshape and redefine reality. The esoteric symbolism associated with Set offers further clues to his true nature. His animal form, often referred to as the Set animal, is a unique and enigmatic creature, unlike any other in the Egyptian bestiary. While its exact zoological identity remains a mystery, with some scholars suggesting connections to the aardvark, the donkey, or even a mythical hybrid, the Set animal embodies a sense of otherness, of untamed power, of something that exists outside the boundaries of conventional understanding. Moreover, the color red, frequently associated with Set, is not simply the color of blood and violence, but also of passion, energy, and transformation. Red is the color of fire, the alchemical element that purifies, destroys, and creates anew. Red is also the color of the desert sands, the arid landscape that is forever linked to Set's identity. And what about Sessionism? Sessionism, a modern esoteric tradition, embraces Set as a symbol of self-empowerment, individual will, and the pursuit of knowledge. Unlike Satanism, which often involves the worship of an external deity, Sessionism focuses on self-deification, the idea that each individual has the potential to become a god in their own right. Aleister Crowley, for example, was heavily influenced by the deity Set. Within this context, Set represents the power to challenge the established order, to forge one's own path, and to transcend the limitations imposed by external authority. This isn't simply rebellious for the sake of rebellion, but rather a deeply rooted belief in the power of the individual to shape their own destiny, an idea that resonates deeply with the modern esoteric seeker. Even modern esoteric followers see him as a multifaceted, useful archetype for self-empowerment. Consider, then, that Set is not merely a god of chaos and destruction, but a symbol of independence, self-reliance, and the courage to question everything. Now, let us shift our focus to the desert, that seemingly barren and desolate landscape so intimately connected to Set. Is the desert truly a place of emptiness and despair, or does it hold a deeper, more profound significance? The symbolism of the desert as a central element of Set's mythology is far more complex than it initially appears. The desert represents not just barrenness, but also initiation, solitude, and self-discovery. The desert strips away the superfluous, the distractions, the illusions of the everyday world, forcing us to confront our inner selves in their rawest form. We should consider the alchemical concept of nigredo, the blackening stage of transformation, where old forms are broken down to make way for new ones. The desert, with its harsh conditions and unforgiving landscape, mirrors this alchemical process, representing the crucible in which the ego is tested, purified, and ultimately transformed. Like Set, it has an undeservedly negative reputation. The desert is a place where one confronts their inner demons and limitations, leading to greater self-awareness and resilience. Think of the Christian desert fathers who sought solitude and spiritual enlightenment in the harsh deserts of Egypt and the Middle East. These ascetics embraced the challenges of the desert as a means of purifying their souls and drawing closer to God. It's easy to see the correlation. And now, let's consider Set's connection to the Jungian concept of the shadow self. Just as the desert represents the external landscape of isolation and challenge, the shadow self represents the internal landscape of repressed emotions, hidden desires, and disowned aspects of our personality. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, argued that the shadow is not inherently evil, but rather a necessary part of the human psyche, containing both negative and positive qualities. It is the part of ourselves that we often project onto others, the qualities we dislike or fear in ourselves that we see reflected in the world around us. Set, in this context, embodies the qualities we often fear and reject in ourselves, such as anger, assertiveness, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. Perhaps this is why Set has been so readily demonized throughout history. He represents the very aspects of ourselves that we are taught to suppress and deny. But it is in these rejected aspects that we find our true power, our creativity, and our capacity for transformation. Like the desert, the shadow is not inherently bad, but a place of powerful potential for growth, a source of untapped energy waiting to be integrated into our conscious awareness. Are we truly so different from Set? So to summarize, we've seen how Set's image has shifted dramatically over time, from revered protector to vilified antagonist. We've explored the complex symbolism associated with him, connecting it to esoteric principles and psychological concepts. And we've examined the symbolism of the desert as a place of initiation and transformation, mirroring the alchemical process of nigredo and the Jungian concept of the shadow self. Now that we understand Set in a new light, how can we practically apply this knowledge to our own lives? How can we embrace our own session qualities to become more resilient, creative, and self-empowered individuals? What does it mean to integrate our shadow, to confront our inner demons, and to harness the transformative power of chaos? These are the questions we will explore in the next section. But let us not rush headlong into the desert unprepared, for the landscape of the shadow self, like the arid sands of Set, can be unforgiving to the uninitiated. Engaging with the shadow without proper guidance and preparation can be akin to wandering lost in a blinding sandstorm, disoriented and vulnerable to its harsh elements. Self-awareness, mindfulness, and ethical considerations are the essential tools needed to navigate this inner terrain, protecting us from the potential pitfalls of unchecked exploration. So how do we begin to cultivate these tools and embark on this journey of self-discovery with wisdom and discernment? One of the most accessible and effective ways to begin exploring our inner desert is through the practice of journaling. Consider this a personal cartography, a way to map the hidden valleys and treacherous peaks of our subconscious landscape. Journaling provides a safe space to identify repressed emotions, desires, and beliefs that may be lurking in the shadows, influencing our thoughts and behaviors without our conscious awareness. What qualities do you most despise in others, and why? What are your deepest fears and insecurities? These are the kinds of prompts that can unlock the hidden chambers of the self, illuminating the aspects we've long tried to keep buried. The simple act of writing down our thoughts and feelings can bring clarity and perspective, allowing us to observe our inner world with greater objectivity, as if we are watching a mirage of our former selves on the horizon, slowly coming into focus. But this is not merely an exercise in self-flagellation, but instead, it is a tool of understanding. It is crucial to recognize projections, how we often attribute our own shadow qualities to others, and take responsibility for our own darkness. That irrational anger you feel towards a coworker for being lazy might in fact be a reflection of your own fear of inadequacy, a disowned part of yourself that you project onto them. We must consider, then, that what we see in others is often a mirror reflecting our own hidden aspects, a subtle truth that can be both unsettling and profoundly liberating. Recognizing these projections allows us to reclaim our power, to take ownership of our own darkness, and to integrate it into our conscious awareness. But journaling is not the only path. Creative expressions such as painting, writing, or music can serve as a powerful means of channeling and transforming session energy. Unleash your inner chaos onto the canvas, let the ink flow like the shifting sands, and allow the music to express the primal roar of your being. Use aggressive brushstrokes to express anger, write a story about a character who embodies independence and rebellion, or compose a symphony that captures the raw energy of the desert storm. The key is to find a creative outlet that resonates with your soul, allowing you to express the full spectrum of your emotions, even the ones that society deems unacceptable. In doing so, we transform destructive potential into creative force, mirroring Set's own role in the Egyptian pantheon as both a god of chaos and a protector of Ra. In this creative process, we discover that it is in this balance and integration, not suppression or indulgence, that we find true power when working with the shadow self. The goal is not to become evil, but to become whole by accepting all aspects of ourselves, the light and the dark, the order and the chaos. It is to recognize that the shadow is not an enemy to be vanquished, but a vital part of our being that holds untapped potential for growth, creativity, and self-mastery. Consider the alchemical adage, solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate, which speaks to the need to break down old structures in order to create new ones. In the same way, we must embrace our inner chaos in order to transform ourselves into more complete and authentic individuals. With our shadows in tow, we can now turn our attention to channeling Set's strength, translating his association with independence into practical skills for assertiveness and boundary setting. But let us be clear, assertiveness is not aggression. It is not about dominating others or imposing our will upon them, but about standing up for ourselves with confidence and respect. It is about recognizing our own worth and refusing to allow others to violate our boundaries, creating a personal oasis of safety and sovereignty. How, then, do we cultivate this healthy assertiveness and learn to navigate the world with strength and grace? It begins with the healthy no, the ability to confidently and respectfully decline requests or demands that violate our boundaries. I'm not able to commit to that right now, or I need to prioritize my own needs at this time, are the shield of the strong. These simple phrases can be incredibly powerful tools for protecting our time, energy, and emotional well-being. Practice these phrases in low-stakes situations, such as expressing preferences in social settings or negotiating minor conflicts, until they become second nature. Role-playing assertive conversations with a friend or therapist can also be a valuable exercise, helping us to build confidence and develop effective communication strategies. When we set healthy boundaries, we increase our own self-respect, reduce stress, and foster stronger relationships. By taking control of our own lives and refusing to be manipulated or taken advantage of, we honor our own needs and create space for authentic connection. This individual sovereignty allows us to align ourselves with our true purpose, to pursue our goals with unwavering determination, and to live a life that is aligned with our values. By embracing the strength of Set, we discover that we possess the power to defend ourselves, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. However, defense is a skill, not just for the physical. Being able to defend oneself in these other ways are key components of self-mastery, a path that requires constant vigilance and unwavering commitment. With these skills at our disposal, we can now turn to embracing creative chaos, understanding how disorder and disruption can lead to breakthroughs and innovation. But how can chaos be a source of creativity? What role does disruption play in the process of transformation? Throughout history, some of the greatest scientific discoveries and artistic movements have emerged from periods of upheaval and uncertainty. Consider the Renaissance, a period of profound social, political, and religious change that gave rise to an explosion of creativity in art, literature, and science. Or think of the scientific revolution, which challenged long-held beliefs about the nature of the universe and paved the way for modern science. These periods of chaos and disruption forced people to question established norms, to think outside the box, and to develop new ways of understanding the world. By intentionally dismantling old structures or patterns to make way for new ones, we engage in constructive destruction. Re-evaluating one's career path, ending a toxic relationship, or challenging limiting beliefs are all necessary functions of a healthy mind. Experimenting with unconventional approaches and challenging established norms in one's creative pursuits or problem-solving efforts opens new avenues. Brainstorm crazy ideas without judgment or deliberately introduce constraints to force creative solutions. The chaos that one once feared will open the doorway to adaptability, resilience, and the ability to thrive in uncertain environments. Consider this continuous learning and personal evolution, adapting like the desert animal to survive or die. Like the phoenix rising from the ashes, we must tear ourselves down in order to be reborn. Seeking opportunity in the face of fear, not running from it, is the first step. This, then, allows us to harness passion and willpower, taking the red road to achieve our goals. The color red, so frequently associated with Set, connects directly to passion, energy, and willpower, qualities that, when harnessed, propel us toward our goals. Setting clear intentions and committing to those goals with unwavering determination is the first step. But how do we sustain that commitment when faced with obstacles and setbacks? How do we tap into the session energy within us to fuel our journey? Visualization, creating a vivid and emotionally compelling mental image of our desired outcome, can serve as a powerful tool for focusing our energy and manifesting our goals. See yourself achieving your goals, feel the emotions associated with success, and believe in your ability to make it happen. Affirmations, positive statements that reinforce our goals and beliefs, cultivate a mindset of success and self-belief. I am capable of achieving my goals, or I am worthy of success and happiness, are phrases to get us started. Like a mantra, one repeats these to get closer to their truer self. Channeling session energy by way of self-deification is to taking responsibility for one's own destiny. The things that one is most passionate about will set their soul on fire, and those things should be pursued. Because success is not given, but earned through self-mastery, just as Set earned his place amongst the gods through strength and cunning. But let us not mistake this self-deification as an exercise in arrogance or self-aggrandizement. Instead, it is a recognition of our own inherent potential, our ability to shape our lives and create our own realities. It is to become a catalyst for transformation, not a conclusion. Chaos is the first, but the final destination is one's own, to craft and create. As we draw to a close, let us reiterate that Set is not an external force, but an archetype of the shadow self and a symbol of transformative potential within each individual. These practices are not about becoming evil or destructive, but about integrating all aspects of oneself, light and dark, to achieve wholeness and authenticity. Explore the symbolism of Set and experiment with different techniques for shadow work, assertiveness, creative chaos, and harnessing passion. The journey of self-discovery is an ongoing process, and embracing the session energy can lead to continuous growth and evolution, with chaos serving as a catalyst, not a conclusion. By embracing the aspects of Set that exist within all of us, we unlock the potential for profound personal transformation. What then are the next steps on this journey of self-discovery? What lies ahead as we continue to integrate these powerful archetypes into our lives? What then are the next steps on this journey of self-discovery? What lies ahead as we continue to integrate these powerful archetypes into our lives? Let us now turn our gaze toward lesser-known interpretations of Set, revealing his role not just as a force of chaos, but as a guide through the darkest realms. Indeed, beyond his more recognized roles, some esoteric interpretations depict Set as a psychopomp, a guide of souls navigating the treacherous landscapes of the afterlife. While Anubis and Osiris are more commonly associated with this role in mainstream Egyptian mythology, certain texts and traditions suggest a more nuanced understanding of Set's involvement. What exactly is a psychopomp, and why might Set be considered one? Across various cultures and mythologies, the psychopomp serves as a conductor of souls, bridging the gap between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Figures like Hermes in Greek mythology, Charon who ferries souls across the river Styx, and even the Valkyries of Norse legend all embody this archetype, assisting souls in their transition and ensuring their safe passage. To understand Set's potential role, we must consider his connection to Ra's nightly journey through the underworld, the duet. For it was Set, with his unparalleled strength and cunning, who protected Ra from the monstrous forces that sought to devour him during his perilous voyage. The Egyptian underworld was not simply a place of death, but a realm of trials, transformations, and rebirth. Imagine the dangers that lurked in the shadows, the serpentine Apep attempting to swallow the sun, the demons and malevolent spirits seeking to thwart Ra's progress. Set's strength and defiance were essential for Ra's survival, ensuring the continuation of the cosmic order. But is this just a literal interpretation of ancient myth, or does it hold a deeper symbolic meaning for us today? What if we were to consider the underworld as a metaphor for our own subconscious minds, the hidden depths where our fears, traumas, and repressed emotions reside? Seen through this lens, Set becomes a guide through our own inner darkness, helping us to confront our deepest fears and reclaim our power. This aligns directly with the concept of shadow work, the Jungian practice of integrating the darker aspects of ourselves, those qualities we tend to reject or deny. Consider the anxieties that plague your mind, the self-doubt that whispers insidious lies, the unresolved traumas that haunt your dreams. These are the monsters of your personal underworld, and Set, as psychopomp, can empower you to face them with courage and conviction. To embark on this inner journey, imagine yourself standing at the threshold of a dark cave, the entrance to your own personal underworld. Envision Set standing beside you, his red eyes gleaming in the darkness, his powerful hand outstretched in guidance. What specific challenges do you see lurking within? Perhaps it is the fear of failure, the pain of past betrayals, or the shame of unfulfilled potential. As you journey deeper, feel Set's strength flowing through you, his independence bolstering your resolve, his defiance fueling your determination to overcome these obstacles. See yourself confronting these fears head-on, not with violence or aggression, but with unwavering self-assurance and a refusal to be defined by your past. Allow Set's qualities to become your own, transforming your inner darkness into a source of strength and resilience. But where does this journey ultimately lead? What is the final destination of this descent into the underworld? The journey through the underworld, whether literal or metaphorical, is ultimately a path to rebirth and self-transformation. By confronting our fears, integrating our shadows, and reclaiming our power, we emerge from the darkness stronger, more authentic, and more fully realized. We shed the limitations of our past and embrace the boundless potential of our future. It is in this spirit of self-transformation that we now turn to a modern esoteric tradition that embraces Set and other dark deities as sources of power and gnosis, that being the Typhonian current. The Typhonian current, a modern esoteric tradition, embraces Set and other dark deities as sources of power and gnosis, spiritual knowledge. Now, before you conjure images of sinister rituals and forbidden practices, let us clarify that this tradition, while often controversial and misunderstood, is a complex and multifaceted exploration of the hidden aspects of reality. But why is it so controversial, even within esoteric circles? At its core, the Typhonian current challenges conventional beliefs and societal norms, seeking to access forbidden knowledge and unlock the untamed potential of the human psyche. This pursuit often involves working with deities and symbols that are traditionally associated with darkness, chaos, and destruction, figures like Set, Lilith, and Hecate. It's a dangerous path, but one that some believe leads to profound self-discovery and spiritual liberation. The name, Typhonian itself, offers a clue to the nature of this current. It draws its name from Typhon, a monstrous figure from Greek mythology, often depicted as a serpentine giant with 100 dragon heads, a creature of immense power and destructive potential. Esoterically, Typhon represents the untamed forces of nature, the raw, unbridled energies that can both create and destroy. Think of a volcano erupting, a hurricane unleashing its fury, or a wildfire consuming everything in its path. These are all expressions of Typhonian energy, forces that defy control and challenge our sense of order. The Typhonian current seeks to harness these energies to tap into the primal source of creation and destruction, believing that it holds the key to unlocking hidden knowledge and achieving spiritual liberation. This is a dance with the very edge of existence, a push beyond the boundaries of conventional understanding. But what exactly is this forbidden knowledge that the Typhonian current seeks to access, and why is it considered so dangerous? The forbidden knowledge sought by the Typhonian current encompasses a wide range of esoteric and occult teachings that challenge conventional beliefs and societal norms. This can include exploring altered states of consciousness, engaging in practices that defy moral or ethical boundaries, or delving into the hidden history of humanity. It is a path of individual sovereignty, rejecting external authority and embracing the freedom to explore the full spectrum of human experience. However, it is crucial to approach this path with caution and respect, for the untamed forces of the Typhonian current can be both empowering and destructive. Just as a fire can warm a home or burn it to the ground, the energies of chaos and darkness must be handled with skill and discernment. Therefore, we must approach the Typhonian current with a balanced perspective, acknowledging its potential dangers and emphasizing the importance of ethical considerations and responsible practice. It is crucial to avoid engaging in practices that could harm oneself or others, to maintain a strong moral compass, and to always prioritize personal growth and spiritual development over the pursuit of power or forbidden knowledge. Think of it as exploring a vast and uncharted wilderness. While the potential for discovery and adventure is immense, it is essential to have a map, a compass, and a deep respect for the power of nature. Without these safeguards, one can easily become lost, injured, or even consumed by the very forces they seek to understand. So, is the pursuit of forbidden knowledge inherently dangerous, or can it be a path to self-discovery? Ultimately, the pursuit of forbidden knowledge, as exemplified by the Typhonian current, can be a path to self-discovery, but it must be approached with caution and respect. By challenging conventional beliefs, exploring the hidden aspects of reality, and confronting our own inner darkness, we can expand our understanding of ourselves and the universe. However, it is essential to maintain a strong ethical foundation, to prioritize personal growth and spiritual development, and to avoid practices that could harm oneself or others. And so, We now turn to yet another facet of Set, the misunderstood champion of the oppressed. For just as Set defies easy categorization, so too does his symbolism extend beyond the personal, touching upon themes of social justice and rebellion. We find in him a figure who resonates with those who have been marginalized, silenced, or oppressed by unjust systems. How can a deity associated with chaos and destruction become a symbol of hope for the downtrodden? Throughout history, many figures associated with darkness or rebellion have been embraced by those fighting for social change. From Lucifer, the fallen angel who defied God, to Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to give to humanity, these archetypes represent the courage to challenge established authority and fight for a more equitable world. Set in this context embodies the spirit of defiance against oppressive systems, inspiring individuals to challenge injustice and fight for a more equitable world. Think of the civil rights movement, the fight for LGBTQ equality, or the struggle against environmental destruction. These movements, in their own ways, embody session qualities, challenging the established order, demanding justice, and refusing to be silenced. Consider the activists who risk their lives to expose corruption, the whistleblowers who reveal corporate malfeasance, or the artists who use their creativity to challenge social norms. These are all examples of individuals embodying session qualities in their pursuit of social change. But how can we ethically channel this session energy for social justice, ensuring that our actions are aligned with our values and do not perpetuate harm? The ethical considerations of using session energy for social activism are paramount, requiring a careful balancing act between defiance and responsibility. It is crucial to remember that Set, while a symbol of rebellion, is not a justification for violence or oppression. The goal is not to tear down society, but to create a more just and equitable world for all beings. Therefore, we must prioritize non-violence, respect for all beings, and a commitment to peaceful and constructive action. But what then are some practical ways to channel this energy for social justice in our own communities? One way to channel session energy for social justice is to become an advocate for marginalized groups, using your voice and platform to amplify their stories and demand change. This can involve supporting organizations that fight for social justice, contacting elected officials to advocate for progressive policies, or simply educating yourself and others about the challenges faced by marginalized communities. Another approach is to challenge discriminatory policies and practices in your own workplace, school, or community. This can involve speaking out against injustice, organizing protests or demonstrations, or filing complaints with the appropriate authorities. Finally, you can promote equality and inclusion by creating spaces where all people feel welcome, respected, and valued. This can involve organizing community events, supporting diverse artists and creators, or simply being mindful of your own biases and prejudices. But beyond these social actions, what deeper lesson does Set offer us? Social justice, at its heart, requires courage, conviction, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. It demands that we confront injustice, speak truth to power, and fight for a more equitable world for all beings. Set, as a symbol of rebellion against oppressive systems, can inspire us to embody these qualities, to become agents of change in our own communities and beyond. But even revolution can calcify into dogma. How then do we keep the spirit of Set alive? How do we avoid becoming the very thing we oppose? To truly embody Set's transformative power, we must look to the alchemical symbolism inherent in his myth, particularly the Negrito. Let us revisit the alchemical symbolism associated with Set, particularly the concept of Negrito, the blackening stage of transformation. It is in this dark and often frightening stage that the alchemist confronts the shadow self, the repressed emotions, and the limiting beliefs that hold them back from achieving their full potential. But how does this blackening relate to Set's destructive aspects? In alchemy, Negrito represents the breakdown of old forms, the dissolution of the ego, and the confrontation with one's own mortality. It is a necessary stage in the process of transformation, for it is only by dismantling the old that we can make way for the new. This mirrors Set's destructive aspect, his role in dismantling the established order, and his association with the chaos that precedes creation. To better see these connections, consider Set's dismemberment of Osiris. The dismemberment of Osiris, often viewed as a purely negative act, can also be interpreted as an alchemical process of separation, where the elements are broken down into their component parts to be purified and recombined in a new and more perfect form. Think of it as a cosmic deconstruction, a necessary step in the cycle of death and rebirth. In our own lives, this can manifest as the re-evaluation of limiting beliefs, the ending of toxic relationships, or the challenging of outdated patterns. It is about intentionally engaging in constructive destruction, dismantling the aspects of our lives that no longer serve us in order to create space for something new and more authentic. This is not about reckless abandon, but intentional pruning for new growth. But how do we put this into practice? To intentionally engage in constructive destruction in one's own life requires a clear vision for what one wants to create in place of what is being destroyed. It is not enough to simply tear things down. We must also have a plan for building something better in its place. This might involve setting new goals, developing new skills, or cultivating new relationships. Imagine you are renovating a house. You wouldn't simply demolish the existing structure without having a blueprint for the new design. Similarly, when engaging in constructive destruction in your own life, you need a clear vision of what you want to create, a blueprint for your future self. What is truly transformative about the alchemical process of transformation? Ultimately, the alchemical process of transformation, guided by Set's symbolism, leads to greater self-awareness, authenticity, and spiritual growth. It is about recognizing our own potential for both creation and destruction, embracing the full spectrum of human experience, and becoming the masters of our own destiny. This is the true meaning of self-deification, not an exercise in ego, but a realization of our own inherent power and potential. And so, we recognize that true transformation requires a willingness to embrace both creation and destruction, to dance with the forces of chaos and order, and to become the architects of our own lives. But as we embrace this awesome power, what responsibilities do we incur? What is the next step in understanding our relationship with Set? But what does all this mean for us, fellow seekers? What awaits us as we strive to unlock the secrets of Set? Let us now delve into yet another layer of Set's multifaceted nature, exploring his role as a guardian of forbidden knowledge, a gatekeeper to realms beyond our ordinary perception. For Set is not merely a god of chaos and destruction, but also a keeper of hidden or forbidden knowledge, accessible only to those who dare to venture beyond the boundaries of conventional wisdom. While Thoth is often portrayed as the sole guardian of esoteric wisdom in Egyptian mythology, certain traditions suggest that Set also holds a key to unlocking ancient mysteries. But what exactly is forbidden knowledge, and why is it so often associated with danger and transgression? Throughout history, the pursuit of forbidden knowledge has been a recurring theme in mythology, religion, and esoteric traditions. Think of the story of Adam and Eve, who were banished from the Garden of Eden for eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge, or the legend of Prometheus, who was punished by Zeus for stealing fire from the gods and giving it to humanity. These tales reflect a deep-seated human ambivalence towards knowledge, a recognition that it can be both empowering and dangerous. For knowledge can disrupt established power structures, challenge conventional beliefs, and unlock forces that are beyond our control. It can lead to intellectual arrogance, spiritual delusion, or even madness. However, it can also lead to enlightenment, self-transformation, and a deeper understanding of the universe. It is this duality that makes the pursuit of forbidden knowledge so compelling and so fraught with peril. But how does Set fit into this picture? How can we reconcile his association with chaos and destruction with the idea of him as a guardian of wisdom. One way to understand Set's role is to connect him to the concept of the serpent power, also known as Kundalini in Eastern traditions. For across various esoteric traditions, the serpent power represents the raw, untamed energy that lies dormant within us, the potential for transformation and enlightenment. In Tantra, Kundalini is depicted as a serpent coiled at the base of the spine, which, when awakened, rises through the chakras, leading to heightened awareness and spiritual liberation. In Gnosticism, the serpent is often seen as a symbol of divine knowledge, challenging the authority of the demiurge, the creator god who seeks to keep humanity in ignorance. Could it be that Set embodies this serpent power, representing the disruptive force that shatters our illusions and awakens us to a higher reality? Think of Set's red hair and eyes, often associated with fire and passion, the very essence of transformative energy. Set in this context represents the raw, untamed energy that can lead to spiritual awakening, the force that challenges our complacency and compels us to seek deeper truths. This is why Set has often been embraced by those who rebel against intellectual and spiritual dogma, those who seek direct gnosis or spiritual knowledge, rather than blindly following established teachings. Consider the modern chaos magic movement, which draws heavily on session symbolism and techniques. Chaos magicians reject traditional religious and esoteric systems, preferring to experiment with different belief systems and practices in order to achieve specific results. They see Set as a symbol of individual empowerment, a force that can be harnessed to break free from limiting beliefs and create one's own reality. But how do we responsibly handle such a potent force? What are the ethical considerations of seeking forbidden knowledge and wielding the serpent power? The ethical considerations of seeking forbidden knowledge are paramount, demanding a commitment to responsibility, discernment, and truth. It is crucial to approach these esoteric teachings with humility and respect, recognizing that they can be easily misinterpreted or misused. We must avoid engaging in practices that could lead to intellectual arrogance or spiritual delusion, always prioritizing personal growth and the well-being of others. Think of Icarus, who flew too close to the sun and plunged to his death, or Faust, who sold his soul to the devil in exchange for knowledge and power. These tales serve as cautionary reminders of the dangers of hubris and unchecked ambition. Set, therefore, is not only a guide through the underworld, but also a gatekeeper to hidden knowledge and transformative power, revealed only to those who dare to seek it with courage, integrity, and a genuine desire for truth. But what happens when cultural and historical forces intertwine with the perception of a deity? Let us now shift our focus to the Hyksos connection, a fascinating chapter in Egyptian history that sheds light on the complexities of cultural exchange and religious syncretism. The Hyksos period in Egyptian history, spanning roughly from 1650 to 1550 BCE, offers a compelling case study in the interplay of culture, religion, and power. The Hyksos, a foreign dynasty that originated in Western Asia, seized control of Lower Egypt, establishing their own rule for over a century. But why is this period so significant, and how does it relate to Set? The Hyksos brought with them new cultural and religious influences, including their own storm god Baal, with whom they identified Set. This syncretic fusion of religious beliefs had a profound impact on the later development of Set's mythology. Yet, the traditional narrative often paints the Hyksos as purely destructive invaders. Is this an accurate portrayal, or is there more to the story? The traditional interpretation of the Hyksos as purely destructive invaders is a simplification of a more complex historical reality. While the Hyksos did engage in warfare and conquest, their rule also brought about periods of cultural exchange and economic prosperity. Archaeological evidence suggests that the Hyksos introduced new technologies and artistic styles to Egypt, while also adopting Egyptian customs and beliefs. This period of cultural syncretism highlights the fluidity of religious and cultural identities, challenging the notion of fixed and unchanging traditions. But what role did Set play in this cultural exchange, and how did it affect his image in the eyes of the Egyptians? It is believed that the demonization of Set was partly motivated by a desire to erase the memory of the Hyksos and their foreign influence. For the later demonization of Set may have been partly motivated by a desire to erase the memory of the Hyksos and their foreign influence, to purify Egyptian culture from what was perceived as alien contamination. By demonizing Set, the Egyptians could symbolically reject the Hyksos and reassert their own cultural identity. This highlights how political and religious power struggles can shape the perception of deities, transforming them from objects of veneration to symbols of evil. Think of how the Romans demonized the gods of their conquered enemies, or how Christians demonized pagan deities during the conversion of Europe. This is a recurring pattern in history, a way of asserting dominance and legitimizing one's own beliefs. Therefore, the Hyksos period offers a valuable case study in the complexities of cultural exchange, religious syncretism, and the manipulation of historical narratives, revealing how the perception of deities can be shaped by political and social forces. But what if we were to take this exploration even further, venturing into the realm of speculative esotericism? Let us now turn our attention to a more controversial and unconventional idea, the possibility that Set may be connected to non-human intelligence. Now, let us acknowledge from the outset that the following discussion is highly speculative, with limited historical evidence to support it. However, it is presented as a potential avenue for exploring the outer limits of Set symbolism, a way of pushing beyond conventional boundaries and challenging our assumptions about the nature of reality. But what is this idea, and why might it be worth considering? Some esoteric researchers have proposed that Set may be connected to non-human intelligence or extraterrestrial entities, that he represents a force that transcends human understanding and originates from beyond the earthly realm. This idea is based on interpretations of ancient texts, symbolic correspondences, and personal experiences. But are these just flights of fancy, or is there something more to it? Set, in this speculative context, represents a force that transcends human understanding, a symbol of the alien, the unknown, and the potentially transformative encounter with the other. This challenges anthropocentric views of the universe, forcing us to consider the possibility that there may be other forms of consciousness, other intelligences, that exist beyond our current comprehension. Think of the ancient astronauts theory, which posits that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth in the distant past and influenced the development of human civilization. Or consider the UFO phenomenon, which continues to baffle scientists and capture the imagination of millions. Are these just products of our imagination, or do they point to something more profound? Therefore, even if Set is not literally an extraterrestrial being, the idea can serve as a powerful metaphor for the unknown, the potential for transformative encounters with the other, and the need to expand our consciousness beyond the limitations of our earthly perspective. But how far can we stretch these metaphors before they lose their meaning? What responsibility do we have when exploring such speculative ideas? Ultimately, it is up to each individual to decide what they believe, to weigh the evidence, to consider the possibilities, and to arrive at their own conclusions. What awaits us as we journey further? As we draw our exploration of Set to a close, let us reflect upon the intricate journey we have undertaken, traversing the sands of time and wading through the tumultuous currents of history and belief. We have witnessed Set's initial role as a protector of Ra, a valiant defender against the forces of chaos, his subsequent demonization, and his eventual re-evaluation as a complex and misunderstood figure. This has painted a clear picture of Set as an archetype. Throughout our exploration, the central theme has been the rehabilitation of Set, revealing him not as a force of pure malevolence, but as a vital energy associated with chaos, the desert, and the shadow self, all representing the catalysts for personal and cosmic transformation. We have seen how embracing the shadow self, challenging established narratives, and finding balance between order and chaos are not merely abstract concepts, but essential keys to unlocking our own potential for growth and self-discovery. Set in this light becomes a symbol of the individual's journey through the darkest aspects of their being, emerging stronger and more complete on the other side. Returning to our initial question of whether evil is a deliberate distortion, we can now see that the story of Set provides a compelling case for re-evaluating such simplistic judgments. The desert, once seen as a barren wasteland, now reveals itself as a crucible of initiation, a place where we confront our limitations and discover our hidden strengths. The shadow self, once feared and repressed, becomes a source of untapped potential, a reservoir of energy waiting to be harnessed for creative and transformative purposes. Set, therefore, is not the embodiment of evil, but a guide through these dark landscapes, a beacon in the Negrito, illuminating the path towards wholeness and self-realization, and his demonization serves as a reminder of how easily truth can be manipulated for political gain. Set's story, however, extends far beyond the sands of ancient Egypt, resonating with broader themes of challenging societal norms, questioning established authority, and embracing the aspects of ourselves that we have been taught to reject. The idea of embracing the shadow self, in particular, has profound implications for personal growth, resilience, and authenticity. By acknowledging and integrating our session qualities, our independence, our assertiveness, our willingness to embrace change, we can become more complete, more authentic, and more empowered individuals. These themes also have impacts across psychology, mythology, sociology, and individual spiritual paths. The echoes of Set's influence can be found in other cultural narratives and figures associated with chaos and necessary transformation. Therefore, we commend you, fellow seekers, for your willingness to challenge conventional wisdom and to embrace a more nuanced understanding of this complex deity. It is through such open-minded inquiry that we can unlock the hidden potential within ourselves and within the world around us. Embrace your own session qualities, your independence, your assertiveness, your willingness to challenge the status quo. For it is through these qualities that we can navigate the ever-shifting sands of life with courage, integrity, and a fierce determination to create our own reality. By integrating all aspects of ourselves, light and dark, we can achieve greater wholeness and fulfillment. This journey of self-discovery may be a challenging one, but the rewards are immeasurable, leading to a life of greater authenticity, purpose, and power. Set, therefore, represents the transformative power of chaos and the potential for self-discovery, urging us to confront our shadows, challenge our beliefs, and embrace the ever-changing nature of existence. And so it is. Now we ask you, how can you embrace your own session qualities to become more resilient and self-empowered? How can you use the energy of chaos and change to fuel your own personal transformation? We encourage you to continue exploring related topics, such as shadow work, esoteric traditions, or the symbolism of the desert, to deepen your understanding of Set and his relevance to your own life, and to support our mission to unearth and decipher the forgotten teachings of the ancient mysteries and the encrypted knowledge of Western esotericism. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, share your thoughts in the comments below, and consider supporting the creation of more content through Patreon. Ultimately, we have provided a new perspective on Set and resolved the initial misunderstanding of him as a purely malevolent force, demonstrating that this deity has been unfairly demonized. With that, we hope you have acquired a deep respect and reverence for the deity and an interest in adding his archetype to your daily life.